Hey there, homesteaders. Alrighty, so you may have seen the boom arm that I fabricated a few months ago. I put a post up on it. A bunch of you told me I was going to kill myself. Well, I snapped a hook off it a couple months ago. There were some logs that were still frozen to the ground. Yeah, I just overworked the ever-living heck out of it. Snapped the hook off, haven't really used it. So today I welded the hook back on and figured I'd give it a lick of paint while I was at it, make it look all pretty. And before I go scratching it all up to living hell, I'll show you it, because, you know, I only want to show you the good stuff and not the bad stuff. So, start you with the walkthrough. So come on and I'll explain the whole basic concept. So, first of all, this is what I call an integral three-point, meaning that then you've got your three-point assembly here. This is your kind of very obvious general three-point. You can buy it, you can make it. I chose to make it on eBay, the fabrication, or what you can get a welded powder coated piece of material for cost me less than what I buy the steel for. So I bought this whole black assembly prefab and it's worked out great. What I made is what you see here, all red and gray. So rather than have your traditional top link assembly going from this pin to this pin on the tractor, I used a half a top link for the connection point, but I have an integral top link, which means that this boom arm is solid all the way to here. And what that does is that gives me compounding angle. So when I lift this, that top point acts as a pivot point and allows me to go basically, you know, up to 8 feet in the air, all the way down to the ground. Whereas if I just had one of those Tractor Supply boom arms that's kind of from here to here, and then it's connected with the regular top link, that's really limited in the amount that it can lift and the weight that it can lift. So just to kind of, here, I'll come around the other side if you want to get closer. So we'll just take a look at this top link real quick. This is literally just half of a tractor top link. I cut it in half, it comes up to about here inside the pipe. I welded another half of pipe, of smaller diameter pipe, onto it, slid that whole assembly into here, and then welded the ever-living crap out of it, and that's what you see all built up here. And that lets me just hook up to a regular, to the regular top link assembly as if I would. And I still have the other half of this for when I decide to make a 2.0. Coming back, you'll see I have my 3 pinholes here. This allows me to set really how high or low I want the bar to go. I've never used anything other than this middle one, and you'll see I reinforced each of the holes with washers. And what's kind of cool is if you look closely, you can see the hole I drilled is a slightly smaller diameter hole than the washer. Inside of here, it's worn down enough that these holes are now completely flush, but that washer did a really good job. If you look, this is not the thickest gauge material steel right here, you can see. So this washers just did a really good job of beefing up that pivot point and just putting some more material here so it didn't wear out super quick. And then this is just a square piece of tube steel that I cut one side off and fitted on, welded it with a couple of zip welds, and it works pretty well. Moving up, we've got 2 hooks. Again, they're not the prettiest welds. I'm sure there's some welders out there that are much better than I am. I'm a fabricator. I like to hit shit with a hammer. If it works, I go about my day. I just took a couple of regular 1/4-inch hooks, welded them on. They're not even completely consistent, but they do the job. And then coming up here, you'll see I have a 5/16 hook, and through it, I just thread a shackle, I guess you would call this, an extended, a large loop shackle. It just fits right through here kind of perfectly, and that's what I use to chain up here. So that's the mechanics of it. Let me kind of give you an overview of how it works. You see I've got the 3 stages kind of set up for you. So starting at the back end now, if I'm skidding smaller logs, if I need to pick a log up literally like I'm doing right now, this little, skidding tongs, it's been a long day guys, forgive me. The skidding tongs are fantastic. They can lift the log up, get it off the ground, and then that makes it really easy to come over here, sling a chain around it real quick, and this is what I use primarily for skidding, because I can do 2 logs at a time with the 2 chains I have here. Not only that, but you'll notice the difference from the pivot point, or the difference in distance from the pivot point that these chains are mounted versus these chains. And that just means that basic physics, the further away you get from a pivot point, the less you can lift. So by attaching it here, I can lift a whole lot more weight than I can with this one. So I use this normally for skidding smaller logs. If I'm just moving 8-foot lengths around real quick, I can just use this. If I want to pull a longer section or lift it up to get underneath it, these skidding tongs are great. From there, I wrap just another piece of 1/4-inch chain. I just have 1 hook on there. It hooks onto this other eyelet here, and that's how this right here is how I'll skid it, and I'll just have this hanging loose. And then finally, if you want to come in a little closer when I'm transporting, just again, I bought this whole assembly minus the 2-inch ball hitch here on eBay. So it came with the D-ring shackle, it came welded, it came with the 2-inch receiver hitch. I had this one laying around, so if I ever want to use the tractor, or when I use the tractor for moving trailers and stuff like that, it's nice to have all 3 of your ball hitches. I've got a ripping hook, and this just acts as a nice bumper too to stop the log actually banging directly into it. But when I'm transporting chains, that D-ring makes a really nice, just a loop slip. So I get my length of chain when I'm done for the day. It's really easy. Hook it on, hook it together, grab the slack. And then when I'm bouncing down the trail, this doesn't want to fly around and do crazy stuff as much. So really, I mean, that's about it. It's pretty straightforward. It cost me all of 2 cans of spray paint, the shackles, the accessories and stuff, but I mean, this was all scrap steel. You'll see some of these, they have a ridge welded, or like a truss, a trellis, whatever you want to call it, some kind of support welded along the back side to give this some rigidity. I tell you what, guys, these old tractors, they only lift 800 pounds. I've broken welds, I have wheelied the tractor, I have not even come close to bending this pipe. So for what I do, this is probably one of the best little things I've made for skidding logs. It's so much better. I don't have to use my car anymore. Yes, I will, let me disclaim it right now. This is one of the most dangerous activities you can do with a tractor. Another tiny little benefit that I don't really think about. If this tractor were ever to go over backwards when I was skidding a log, this might act as enough of a roll bar to stop it going straight over backwards onto me. It may tilt it to the side, and it might save my life. I'm not relying on that in the slightest bit. Every time I drive around with the log attached to the back of this thing, my foot floats the clutch. I have had this at 45 degrees and you're staring at the sky. It's not fun. So if you guys are going to build anything like this, if you are going to skid logs, just as you probably know, but in case you don't, using a chainsaw, running a chainsaw, felling logs, skidding logs, some of the most dangerous work you can do. Clearing ground, breaking ground in general, some of the most dangerous work you can do. So be safe out there. If you guys have any more questions about it, by all means let me know, and thank you for watching yet another stupidly long video of mine. Take care, guys.